In the name of God, Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. Amen. Waiting and hope. The watchwords of pregnancy. Some women love being pregnant, I'm told. They are happy and content and glowing all the way through. During my pregnancies, I certainly had a number of moments like that, but there were many other moments where I felt uncomfortable and taken over by space aliens. Times when I couldn't wait for it to be over. The first trimester, there was morning sickness. The second trimester was pretty good, even if I began to get a little bulky and awkward. By the third trimester, however, I was tired of waiting. The kids kept me up at night. I gained 50 pounds, so just walking from one end of the room to the other was an athletic endeavor. The kids kept, kicking up into my lungs. I found it difficult to both stand and project my voice during worship. I would run out of breath. For both of my pregnancies, I actually had the churches I was in install tall stools behind the pulpit and the altar so I could sit while preaching and celebrating. Don't get me wrong, there are many, many wonderful things about pregnancy, the closeness of your child being profound. But it is a time of betwixt and between, a time of waiting, a time of hope. Welcome to the first Sunday of Advent, the season of waiting and hope. Waiting for the Christ child, the first coming. Waiting for the fullness of time, the second coming. And waiting for the turning of our hearts. Our reading from Jeremiah today happens during the Babylonian siege of Jerusalem. The people are terrified, and they are waiting for salvation from their troubles. Jeremiah prophesies that one day the Israelites will get beyond this, and that in fact a righteous branch will spring up for David, who will execute justice and righteousness in the land. And in those days, Jerusalem will live in safety. So the prophet Jeremiah is offering hope during the waiting. Likewise, in the gospel lesson, the people of the Holy Land are under occupation by the Romans, and they too are waiting. The common people are taxed into poverty and trodden down in despair. They are waiting for salvation from their troubles. Jesus predicts an apocalyptic time which will culminate with the Son of Man coming in a cloud, and the difficult times are signs that redemption is drawing near. Like Jeremiah, Jesus offers hope during the waiting. But in neither case does God snap his fingers and make everything immediately okay. Perhaps there's some value in waiting. Perhaps there's something that takes time to grow before it's ready to be revealed. Sort of like a pregnancy. An interim period in a church is also a time of waiting and hope. You, Emmanuel Church, have left the shore of stability with Matthew. You're on a ship on a journey, waiting, but you have not yet arrived at the new shore of stability with a new rector. And there is grief at losing Matthew. There is grief at losing so many dear parishioners who have moved away. There is grief as well at the changes that COVID has brought. There's likely even anger and hurt. The church has changed. And some days this in-between time feels unstable. These are real feelings and should be acknowledged. Allow yourself space and time to grieve. focus on the fact that in addition to grief and anger, which is sort of the change that has happened in the past, having an unclear future makes us anxious and uncomfortable. So there's sort of this grief at looking backward and anxiety at looking forwards, kind of in between space. And so a parish interim feels unsettled. Living in a liminal space can be hard. We don't want to wait. We want to arrive and end the waiting. We want the birth. Sometimes parishioners wonder why the search committee isn't moving faster with their work. How long could it possibly take to hire somebody? They understandably want this interim time to be over as quickly as possible so they can stop feeling uncomfortable. I, however, am grateful the search committee is taking the time they need for a slow, deliberate process. This ensures the best outcome. The truth is, interim periods between rectors are not a special agony designed by the diocese to torture poor, unsuspecting parishes. Interim periods serve a very real function. After a couple of millennia, churches have figured out best practices for what best helps a parish during a transition. In fact, practically all churches and all denominations, even other religions, now have interim periods between one senior cleric and the next. You see, an interim period allows for deliberate self-evaluation. Who is Emmanuel? You really need to spend serious time wrestling with that question. The search committee's recent focus groups were working on answering that. An interim period allows you to reflect on and articulate your identity, purpose, direction, and vision. This is critical in making sure you call the right person who really reflects your values and identity. An interim period prevents reactivity in the call process, not just getting the first person who walks down the pike. The interim period is a time of waiting, yes, but like a pregnancy and like Advent itself, an interim is also a period of active waiting, preparing yourself so that you select the best rector possible. Spending time fully grieving what has been lost, saying goodbye to the old ways, so that you are ready to receive a new person with open hearts. In some way, Jesus' ministry was an interim period. He served for just 3 years. It was never meant to be permanent. The people didn't like living with him in this betwixt and between stage, and some even wanted to crown him king just to make him stay put. But at no point did Jesus say, hey guys, let's just settle down here. He kept moving. And it seems to have been designed as an interim from the beginning. For instance, right after his baptism, Jesus didn't just make a beeline straight for the cross. There was a period of active teaching, healing, ministry, and allowing people to come to terms with this new age that he was ushering in. That is what is happening at Emmanuel during the interim. A new age is being born. Jesus traveled around for 3 years. This period of active waiting and hope prepared the people for the arrival of their new covenant and the kingdom of God. Waiting and preparation seem to be built into the fabric of the story between God and humanity. This is what Advent teaches us: the importance of active waiting. The truth of the matter is, Emmanuel is doing just fine. You are on the right track. You have excellent leadership. Faith Hodgkins and Tim Green are fabulous wardens. The vestry is a gifted group of people. The search committee under the leadership of Dave Sullivan and Nikki Nash McIsaac is top-notch. You have many strong ministries. You have a committed and faithful parishioners. You have strong financial resources. You reach out in compassion to your neighbors, and you seek to love and serve the Lord. Wow. You've got so much on target. So by all means, acknowledge the anxiety of this interim time. Grieve what has been lost. But afterwards, forge ahead and make the most of it. Like pregnancy and Advent, this interim period is a time of waiting and hope. It is a gift, a period of exploration and self-reflection. Revel in your gifts. Dream of your future. Play with the possibilities. This interim period is a time out of time, undergirded by God and offering the hope and promise